Hello and welcome to Make It Plain. I am your host, Alfonso McGriff III, in the house to do the thing one more time. I want to thank y'all for tuning in because, as I say every week, I do not take you for granted, and I know you can be doing any number of other things, but you chose to hang out with me and Phil while we do the doggone thing. I just want to remind you that August 3rd is the Taste of the Caribbean, August 3rd, first Saturday. Taste of the Caribbean, don't forget about that. Also, on May 19th, Sunday, May 19th, in celebrating Malcolm X's birthday, we have an open conversation about the illusion of progress of Black people in America. This is going to take place at 1023 Albany Avenue in Hartford, 1023 Albany Avenue at the Kabbalah House, right here in Hartford, Connecticut. So you want to keep those dates in mind. Sunday, May 19th, doors open at 4, program starts at 5. On promptly at 5 o'clock, program starts. And also the Taste of the Caribbean. It's an awesome presentation. It's an awesome event. Music, bands, just all kind of stuff, all kind of music, and it's a great cultural event. Food is like incredible. Vendors selling all kinds of things, incredible. So that's the first Saturday in August, August 3rd. And then also we have in the open conscious conversation at the Kabbalah House, 1023 Albany Avenue in Hartford. On Sunday, May 19th, program starts at 5 o'clock, doors open at 4. So I just wanted to throw that at you. And also I'll be doing a presentation, a workshop on effective communication at the Harlem Book Fair this year. And I don't have the exact date for that. I think the date for the Harlem Book Fair is July 20th. It's a Saturday. I think that's the date. So you want to keep those dates in mind. May 19th, July 20th, and August 3rd. May 19th is the open conversation about the illusion of progress for Black people in America. July 20th, I think it's July 20th, the Harlem Book Fair, doing a workshop on effective communication. And then on August 3rd, the Taste of the Caribbean. It's going to be an awesome event, that Taste of the Caribbean. It was real nice last year. I look forward to participating and making it happen this year. So that's the name of that tune. Tonight, I want to put on I would like to give you something to think about. A lot of times we talk about what's wrong with like the system or the setup or the society or whatever, but we don't necessarily have viable options or anything else to think about, as far as living a different way or trying a different approach to life. So tonight I want to offer the understanding of another approach to living even in a colonial society. The challenge for us is that we are raised in a society and in a construct that is the manifestation of somebody else's mindset. So basically what I'm saying is, because none of us, no Negroes were at the meeting, no Indians, no Asians, no women, only white men were at the meeting when this country was being set up. So with that in mind, what we're experiencing pretty much is the manifestation of the consciousness of white men with intermediate contributions by other groups of people, including women. But the foundation of this racist, hostile setup is the creation or the manifestation of the consciousness of white men. And this is what we know, and this is what we live in, and we live by it, and that's how it is. But tonight I want to offer another approach to living even in a colonial society. And it's basically called the body concept. And this is in my book, The Book of Abe, in chapter 4, thought number So 4:12 is called the body concept in the Book of Abe, chapter 4, thought number 12. And it's about understanding a different approach to life and how to live. The potential for any type of body is limited to the effectiveness of its functioning parts. So the potential for any type of body is limited to the effectiveness of its functioning parts. If the body parts are operating at optimum potential, then the entire body will also operate at optimum potential. If the body parts are operating at optimum potential, then the entire body will also operate at optimum potential. This is universal law. The body can function no better than the cumulative sum of its body parts. The body can function no better than the cumulative sum of its body parts. There are an infinite number of examples of the body concept. However, I will deal with 3 specific types of bodies. These are universal body, the human body, and the communal body. So I'm going to talk about 3 different types of bodies. Like I said, there are an infinite number of bodies that we can talk about. This is a pen. This pen is a body. This pen has body parts. This pen has this little lever here that makes the thing come out, the little piece that holds the ink, the tip the ink comes out of, the casing that covers the functioning parts of the pen. All of these things, in order for this pen to work best, all of its functioning body parts have to also work really well. When this thing stops working right, then the little tip can't come out right, then the ink can't come out of the tip, and so you have a malfunctioning body. And so it's as simple as that. It's a body concept. Everything has a body. Even an atom has protons and neutrons and all of that kind of body. All bodies have parts. So, and the body can function no better than the cumulative effect of the body parts. So tonight, like I said, I'm going to talk about the universal body, the human body, and the communal body. The communal body is the key, but I just want to deal with the others to kind of bring us to the communal body. Historically, we once functioned as a communal body. We have lost the understanding of the communal body. As a result, we have also lost the understanding of how to live in productive harmony with the universe. So historically, we once functioned as a communal body. We have lost the understanding of the communal body. As a result, we have also lost the understanding of how to live in productive harmony with the universe. For the most part, and every colonial body that I've examined, when I'm talking about community, every community set up by colonists functions in destructive harmony with the universe. You either function in productive harmony or destructive harmony. And the reason why I call it harmony either way, because the universe is set up to constantly balance itself. And you are never out of harmony with the universe, but we're talking about the quality of harmony we're operating in. We're either operating in productive harmony with the universe or destructive harmony with the universe. And in most cases, you go into any colonial environment, you'll find that it is moving in destructive harmony with the universe. And the quality of the reality for the people in that type of body or colonial society, the quality of the majority of the people is not well, because the setup itself, or the colonial setup, is such that it is moving in destructive harmony with the universe. When we're moving in productive harmony with the universe, and we have people in an environment that is set up as a communal body, then the majority of those people are doing well, and the majority of those people benefit. So, the universe, for instance, has many body parts. These would include galaxies, solar systems, stars, moons, and planets, together with various other celestial objects. So the universe, now we're just talking about the universe we understand. There could be trillions of universes. I don't know. But based on our limited understanding of what we identify as the universe, it has many body parts. Again, these would include galaxies, solar systems, stars, moons, and planets, together with various other celestial objects. Each universal body part has an equally significant role in making sure the universe functions at optimum potential. Each body part is a body within itself. For instance, the planet Earth has many body parts, including humans. You know, the planet Earth has animals. The planet Earth has plants. It has land. It has air. It has water. It has a lot of different body parts. And in order for the planet itself to function right, then there are things in the solar system that must also be going on, like the stars, the sun. All of these things are connected. And if one is not functioning correctly, it has an effect on everything else. So when your government drops a bomb on the moon, I swear to this day, that has been one of the single most dumbest things I ever heard in my life. Going up on the moon and dropping a bomb. And they even had people convinced that they could potentially see the explosion of this bomb from here by looking at the moon with their naked eye. And there was a lot of people upset because they didn't see the explosion. But that to this day has to be one of the most dumbest things I've ever heard. Dropping a bomb on the moon, and then without the understanding that whatever you do up there is going to affect what goes on here. It's just a universal understanding. So, so anyway, whatever happens with the sun has an effect on the earth, has an effect on the moon, has an effect on everything in this particular solar system. And if this solar system is tripping and acting up, which is a body part for a galaxy, then it'll have an effect on the galaxy. And if the galaxy is adversely affected, it will have an effect on the universe. So it all is one. That's how bodies work. It's body parts. So now each human has many body parts. These would include the brain, the heart, the liver, the lungs, the pancreas, kidneys, the intestines, glands, arteries, veins, capillaries, bones, eyes, ears, nose, red blood cells, white blood cells, etc. Each human body part has an equally significant role in making sure the human functions at optimum potential. So if any one of these entities, one of these body parts, the heart, the liver, the lung, the pancreas, kidneys, intestines, glands, arteries, if anything is not working right, then it has an effect on the entire body. And there's no, the kidneys are important, but let your pancreas go, and your kidney's gonna have problems too. Your lungs are important, but let your kidneys go, and everything else gonna be adversely affected. Your heart, your kidneys can be working fine, glands, arteries, pancreas, lung, but if your heart is not functioning correct, then everything else is going to be adversely affected. That's how the body works. At the same time, if all of our body parts are functioning at optimum potential, then our full body is functioning at optimum potential. If all of our body parts are doing what they're supposed to do, then the entire body benefits because it is doing just fine. So these are just basic understandings of the body concept and how it works. You have a body, It has parts, and the better those parts work, the better off the entire body is. Ink pen is a body, it has parts. The better the parts to this ink pen work, the better off the entire ink pen is. The ink pen serves its purpose. So that's just the body concept. Now, there was a time. Now, let me just say the difference between. Well, no. Let me first deal with the communal body. Okay. There was a time when indigenous people all over the world. When I say indigenous people, I'm basically talking about non-white people. I'm talking about all of the places that were invaded by white people. If you look up all of the islands, all of them were colonized by one group of Europeans or another. There's no other group on the planet that has colonized and contaminated so many different areas of land and people on that land. No other group of people in the history of human existence have traveled all over the world and done so much damage to so many other groups of people on so many different land masses. So you can look at Africa and the colonization of Africa, but before the colonial powers came. You can look at Australia. You can look at this country in particular, North America, South America. You can look at Brazil. And what you'll find is that the indigenous people of all these different places, you know, throughout the tropics all over the world, the indigenous people of those places functioned as a communal body. They functioned as a body. And so they understood, it was innate, it was natural. People understood the body concept from birth. It wasn't something that was hammered in. Nobody had to make man-made laws. Everybody functioned based on an understanding of universal laws. And they moved as a communal body. Now let's talk about the communal body. The communal body has many body parts, just like all the other bodies. We talked about the universal body. We talked about the human body. Now we're talking about the communal body. So the communal body has many body parts. These were comprised of various masters of their particular craft, including men, women, mothers, fathers, warriors. You know, there were men, warriors were the protectors, or the hunters were the people that went out and got the food. The drummers were responsible for communication. The elders were responsible for information. Teachers were those who helped the children, brought the girls into womanhood and the boys into manhood, and helped them understand that their life was a preparation to bring forth life. Dancers, again, communication and storytelling, cooks, doctors, etc. Everyone functioned for the greater cause of the entire body, or the community, or as a communal body. They understood each human body part, and when I say human body part, I'm referencing the communal body. Each human body part has an equally significant role in making sure the community functions at optimum potential. So when you have a communal body, everyone understands their role in the community. There's no kings. You know, that's why, you know, it's interesting we brag, oh, we were once kings and queens. Well, we didn't have to have kings and queens. We had communal bodies, and each person understood their role in that communal body. Not even, you know, and there was no one person over any other person. You had elders, but they were elders because they had been around for a really long time, and they had a lot of information, and if you asked them the right question, you could get answers that would assist you along in life so that you could move exponentially to next levels of understanding. This is how our people became masters of so many different things. Because, for instance, if you had a gentleman whose specialty was building structures, and the next generation is coming up, one of the things they would do is let their children kind of move and feel their way into what they wanted to do. So if you had a child whose interest was construction and building things, then he would be brought into the fold with the men who built things. And then he would be given certain understandings, and he would then take those understandings to next levels. So you had the reason why we knew and understood so much, because you had generation after generation after generation of nothing but specialists, people who migrated, who literally, like I said, wandered or migrated into specific areas of interest, and because they were involved in the area they were interested in, they excelled in that. And again, because they were in an area they were interested in, they excelled. Well, they took the knowledge to next levels of understanding. Each generation was taking it to next levels of understanding, which made the significance of the elders so important. But at the same time, because it's a communal body, if the people that hunt, the specialists that were hunters, if they didn't bring back the food, then that's going to have an adverse effect on the entire community. One of the other things I like to talk about is one of y'all president's wives says something about it takes a village. But because she didn't really understand the full concept of it takes a village, a lot of people missed the full concept, and they didn't really understand what that was about. The saying comes from the understanding of what a communal body is. And like I was saying earlier, if you have one or two body parts that's not holding their end, then that's going to have an adverse effect on the entire communal body. So one of the things that was not tolerated is a dysfunctional body part, meaning a body part that's not willing to make, to move in productive harmony with the universe. So for instance, like in today's day, you might have a child who's hard-headed, and he doesn't want to participate the way he needs to. And one thing the communal body understood, or the community that this woman was talking about, it takes a village. The village understood that it was nothing they could do with that child without the assistance or the help or the approval of the mother. Anyone with children knows that anybody that tries to deal with that child has to deal with the mother. Because if you say something to the child, the first thing the child is going to do is look at the mother for, is it okay? Do I need to listen to this person? So it takes a village. The village can't do nothing with a child unless the mother is agreeable with that. So now you have this one child who is out of order, and they're having an adverse effect on the entire community, because that's how body parts work. Well, the village, if they can't get permission to deal with the child from the mother, you know what happens? That mother and child is walking across the desert or the land or somewhere else, trying to find somewhere else to live. That's why the communal body stayed so strong and continued to evolve and grow, because they understood the damage just one could do to the entire communal body. And if you didn't want to cooperate, either you would land somewhere in a little lake with a little arrow stuck in your knot, or you were finding another place to live, because that's how serious it was. So we can, in a colonial society, the difference between communal bodies and colonial societies is colonial societies have hierarchies, which include a special few who have particular titles, privileges, and status. The vast majority of the people in the colonial society are trained, obedient, perpetual servants who spend the best part of their lives keeping the special few in power and control over everything. So in a colonial society, I read this again, in the colonial society there are hierarchies. A lot of times which have nothing to do with whether or not a person is qualified to be in that position. Nothing at all to do with whether or not a person is qualified to be in that position. So in a colonial society, you have hierarchies, which include a special few who have particular titles, privileges, and status. The vast majority of the people in the colonial society are trained, obedient, perpetual servants who spend the best part of their lives keeping the special few in power and control over everything. It would be quite the challenge functioning as a communal body while living in a colonial environment or society. However, it can be done. It just depends on the decisions we make. So that's another way to live as a communal body. And the communal body can start with the family, with your own household. You don't need a whole bunch of other people. You know, then we can gradually branch out and bring in people. And just like our ancestors did for those who cannot, because one can have an effect. All you need is one kidney to go bad and it's going to jack the whole body up. All you need is the pancreas or the heart or the brain. Don't take much to throw the entire body off. So when you're trying to function as a communal body, you have to have people who are interested in living and moving in productive harmony with the universe, not destructive harmony. People coming from a colonial society are going to always try to bring in that colonial madness. So I believe it can be done. However, I knew it would be a challenge. But this is an alternative way to look at how to live in this environment, functioning as a communal body. It's possible. We're going to open up the lines, 860-524-8920. If you have any comments, anything you want to say, you can put it on the table. Again, the number is 860-524-8920. Brother Phil, you got the number up? The phone number? Yeah, so you can, sometimes Phil get missing on me back there. You know, that's my man, that's my road dog. Without Phil, I wouldn't be able to do this show. So we are fortunate to have Phil in the place doing the doggone thing. So again, if you want to call, put something on the table, comment on what I said about functioning as a communal body. The line is open, because you know we can't do like the lines are open, like we got 8 or 9 lines. We got one line. Yes, caller, make it plain.
All right, Brother Fonso, good to see you again, man. It's always a pleasure to see you. You know, last week I had elaborated about Fox News, and I labeled it as one of the worst news on the face of this planet. Now, it's been my experience, you know, that Fox News is in direct conflict with universal principles. It's the way they operate. They're shady. You know, they literally, and basically they prospect KKK ideology. You know, it's nothing new. It's that same old white supremacy stuff, and we've seen it all before. Now, what kills me when I see black folks watching Fox News, what the hell is wrong with black people today, man? You know, we got to get off of this Fox News nonsense. I already said in the next 37 years, you know, we're in 2013 now. From what we hear about the statistics, in 2050, the demographics of this country is going to change. We probably going to end up with a Latino president. How is that going to affect? How is that going to affect white supremacy's place in this country? You know, for a long time, white supremacy have run things. You know, land rights, water rights, mineral rights, power, control, money, everything. Now, they say majority rules according to this country's mantras. The majority rules. You know, so-called democracy, which is another form of hypocrisy. And I'm gonna let my girl talk too. She got something to ask you. You know, democracy, which in this country goes for another form of hypocrisy, because they talk democracy and we don't see no democracy. All the voting black people been doing all these, and I'm glad black folks used to vote with their feet. You know, like back in the days, because you know we had two white men in a suit to vote for, and it really doesn't matter. You know, I'm glad black folks used to vote with their feet. I can't even understand why black folks is voting today. Because all the voting we've been doing, it ain't helped a damn black person in this world. I'm trying to see what voting has done for black folks. I can't see it. But back to the demographics. In 2050, which is in 37 years, according to the statistics, now that the Latinos will be the #1 population in this country, black folks #2, white folks #3. Now, what I'm seeing being done now is to bolster the white population number. White folks are even adopting, and I hate to use the word adopt, because what is happening is they're counting some of the Latinos for white now. How bad is things going to get? You know, I think whatever we've seen in this country, whatever we've seen in the past, I'm with you, brother. It's in the decline. They talk about the economy's going to grow. Politicians get there, you know, filibuster and talk all that nonsense. To me, it's all bullshit. It's all political bullshit. Talk all, you know, we're going to grow the economy. Romney as hell ain't going to do it. And I don't buy Obama's not going to do it. Nobody's going to grow this damn economy. A lot of countries now have tightened up. You can't go over to China and beat them over the head and take what they got no more. They got nuclear armaments just like America got nuclear armament. You know, America can't go over to China and take over nothing. You know, they kicked the crackers out a long time ago trying to flood the Chinese shores with opium. And the Chinese people took a resolute, they were really resolute about getting rid of all the crackers out of their country. And they got rid of them. They shut all the borders down. They shut all the borders down and told them you can't import opium into our country no more. And every Uncle Tom Chinaman, this happened during the Chinese Revolution. Every Uncle Tom Chinaman, you know, like your man, like my man, he ain't my damn man, because, you know, the 999 man, Herman Cain. You know, I'll tell you what they did with a brother like that. They put a bullet in his head. You know, the Chinese Revolution was brutal. They were out to wipe every Uncle Tom Chinaman. And I think if we can do that over here, if we can do that and rid ourselves of all these Uncle Toms running around to the, you know, Republican Party or whatever, you know, it doesn't really even matter.
Let me address that part right quick. The people you identifying as Uncle Toms here in this country. The difference between here and China is in China, they weren't colonized for over 300 years. Those were people who were raised Chinese, spoke Chinese, lived Chinese culture, knew Chinese history, and were inside and outside Chinese, who made a conscious decision to move against Chinese government or whatever. And so they were handled for making that decision. What I'm saying here in America, I don't know any black people, and this is gonna be rough, but I don't know any black people who aren't so-called Uncle Toms. Because every one of us who are not fully recovered to the extent that we're moving based on the full knowledge and understanding of our history and our culture and our way of life, not that we have to throw a leaf on our private parts, but what I'm saying is we aren't caught up and locked into white people and racism and all of that other stuff. We are as you might say, independent operators in a colonial society. So we're looking around. All of us aren't functioning that way. So we're all sleeping, trying to figure out how to wake up in the midst of chaos and violence and racism. And we all gain certain knowledge and understanding at different times and different places and different levels. So if I run around deciding I'm gonna chase down the Uncle Tom and slash his throat, well, that person maybe a week later might have grabbed the autobiography of Malcolm X. And then if he read that book, that might have sent him, in the same direction as it sent me. Just hearing somebody mention the book, me picking it up, reading it, sent me on my journey. So we don't know that anybody we're now identifying as an Uncle Tom is not a book or a day or a week short of experiencing something that could set them on a blazing trail and path. So we have to be patient with each other. I mean, it was just in the 1970s we had John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Jesus hanging up in our kitchens. And we all believed Jesus was white. And we all believed Jesus was our Savior, just in the 1970s. All of us. It was and I say all of us, but it was very few of us who were involved in some cultural, historical, African-centered thinking back then. There were those who were, but it was very few of us. So if the few that had the attitude then that you're saying we should have now, that 80 and 90% of us would have been dead back then, because we'd have been identified as Uncle Toms. So what I'm saying is we have to be patient with each other and give each other that room and space to grow and evolve in a hostile, racist environment. It ain't easy, especially when you got to feed kids and a family and all of that kind of stuff. We making tough choices every day. Most black people in this country are making life and death choices every day, and so we got to be patient with each other.
Now, Alfonso, I got to ask you something else. Now, if you remember the Honorable Matthias Garvey, he started a shipping line called the Black Star Line. Now, when he started the Black Star Line, the pilots for the ship were all of them were on the tape for the FBI. They were working for J. Edgar Hoover under the table. So a lot of the stuff they would do, the engineers, some of the engineers, and he had hired black folks. And I can't even call these brothers black folks, man, because, these niggas, they saboteurs, they backstabbers. You got a pilot that would drive the ship on rocks and sink the ship because he was working for J. Edgar Hoover. You had an engineer who looked to the right and looked to the left and threw a monkey wrench in the engine to sabotage his shipping line. And they kept doing stuff like that to him. His personal advisor was also a spy for J. Edgar Hoover, who hated black people. We all know that. I mean, the dude was a fag. We all also know that, And I mean, you can do what you do. I mean, that's what you like. But he hated black people, and that was part of his agenda. And a man with so much power. And what is black folks doing, aligning themselves with people like that? I was looking at Malcolm X. Malcolm X's bodyguard for J. Edgar Hoover. Fast forward from 1920s to the 60s. Malcolm X's own bodyguard worked for J. Edgar Hoover. His own friends that sat next to him was working for the FBI. Let's keep on with the Black Panthers. They were thoroughly infiltrated by black people to bring an organization like that down. All they was doing was trying to feed the kids and raise the community and turn things around. And half of them got killed, the other half thrown in prison. Tupac's mom was in prison like that. Now, fast forward, Dr. Martin Luther King, the guy that took that photo at the Lorraine Motel with all fingers pointing at the shooter, right there at the Lorraine Motel balcony, the dude that was taking pictures of Dr. Martin Luther King's own advisor, he was on the tape for working for J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. Everything that black folks have done to try to raise the black community up has been sabotaged by white America. And that's just the way it is. I don't see how we can be too kind towards these niggas that's out to destroy the black community because we live in a racist environment. I mean, as far as I see, you a traitor. When you turn against your own people like that, you was a traitor. And I know what they do with traitors in the military. They find them a nice comfortable casket. That's what they do with them.
All of the people you mentioned were found out after, it was already after they had been involved is when people found out about them, right? All of the people you mentioned. Nobody knew about them during this time. Everybody found out afterwards, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, do you go around killing black people randomly? Or are you saying once you find out they're a traitor, then you kill them because it's a wrap? I mean, because what are you saying?
I think we should take care of the traitors the same way the military takes care of the traitors.
What I'm saying is, so what you're saying is, hold it now. What you're saying is, as much as we're trying to climb out of this colonial mindset, we should climb back in and use the military and white people as our example in order to know how to handle our people. See, when you say do like the military, basically you're saying that we need to handle our people the way the white people handle theirs. And then I'm saying, how can we possibly climb out of the mess when white people keep being our standard for what we should do?
Yeah, you got a point, strong point.
So I'm thinking that we have to make different kind of decisions if we want to go in a different kind of direction. If we want to stay in the mess, then we can keep doing what they do and doing it how they do it, and functioning and using them as the foundation for how we move. But then how in the world can we truly make progress that makes sense for us when it's really them who are making the decision for us and how we gonna move?
Yeah, you got me there, my brother. I got to hand that one to you. You took this debate.
So that's just something we have to constantly be conscious of and think about. Because even if we made a decision, like you said, anybody that we find out is a traitor, we should handle them. We can't haphazardly make a decision that is validated by how white people did it. If we come to that conclusion, it has to be an independent conclusion that makes sense to us based on our reality, our historical relationship and what we're doing. It can't be recklessly done because that's how they do it. So we have to make independent, conscious decisions about how we handle things. Now, personally, and this, this makes revolutionaries angry and upset. I personally believe that even if we find out somebody is a traitor, it's good because now we're aware of who they are. And so they can't hurt us anymore. We still have to keep it moving because we can't keep being dragged back and sidetracked by everybody who ain't doing right by us, because they're going to always be there. They're never not going to be there. So we have to handle it in a way where we don't get off the track and slow our roll. And for me, one of the best ways to do that is to recognize who did it and say, okay, at least they can't do that anymore. Now let's keep it moving. Where are we going next? How are we going to keep this thing rolling? Because it's just like right today, every time white people do something to us or something happens to us, we drop everything we're doing, and then we go get a sign, and we go get a preacher, and we run outside and protest, and we march, and we this and we that. And it's every time you move 3-4 steps forward, then you got to take 2 more back to stop and react to white people again. Then you move 3 more steps forward, then you take 2 more back to stop and react to white people again. And then in the midst of all of that, we're making decisions based on what they do, as opposed to making decisions that are in our own best interest based on where we want to go and what our goals are, and what our mission is, and what our desires are. So we have to kind of think it through more, whatever kind of decisions we make. You dig?
Yeah. Well, I find out, throughout my historical studies, with the abolitionists and men like John Brown, I'm sure that name is very familiar at Hartford's Ferry. I got respect for John Brown at Hartford's Ferry, and unfortunately, him and his sons lost their wife. I couldn't believe how white folks would do that to a white man and his children. They killed him and they killed all, and he's white. They killed him and killed all his sons.
Well, I mean, historically, they were doing all of the things they did to us and continue to do to us long before they even encounter us. They were doing it to each other. Even here, when they got here, the Irish was battling with the Italians, who were battling with so they've been battling amongst each other even before they linked up with us. So they don't have no problem doing what they do to anybody, not even their own. I mean, if you just study the history of gangsterism in New York and Chicago and Boston and look at what they were doing to each other, forget about us. So I'm saying that's just a part of the history. It's not an accusation. It's just a part of their history. And we have a history of functioning in a far more productive manner than we are now. And that's what we should focus on getting back to, because we have the potential to do it.
I mentioned too that when the British arrived in Australia, and people think of Australia today, they can't think of it. It's a black country. They can't. I tell people they still can't believe me. Australia is a what? No. British was like Africa. And all the Aborigines. Now, what I've been studying about the Aborigines today is they have the same problems that the Native Americans have. They're committing suicide by the droves because life is so intolerable. Well, we find out that the Native Americans are also committing suicide. And not only right now, how did they go from 100 million people living here in the Western Hemisphere And, they call them Indians now. Of course, I know they ain't Indian. How do you go from 100 million people now to less than 1% of the population, Alfonso?
Well, what I want to say is this. I'm clear about white people and their history. I'm clear. As a matter of fact, they're responsible for making a group of human beings called the Tasmanians extinct today. The white people are responsible for making a group of humans. I ain't talking about no birds or no cats. A group of humans called the Tasmanians extinct. You look up and check out the Tasmanians. We only have a few minutes left. You said your wife had a question?
My last question, and I know you got other callers. I hate to take over.
Man, you took up all the time. We only got like 3 minutes left.
Okay. It's another guy on the internet by the name of Chip Smith. I know we've had white abolitionists in the past, but I listened to this guy and I was surprised to hear what he was talking about. He has a video on YouTube called "The Cost of White Supremacy and Racism." I was surprised to hear it. I ain't never heard. Is that stuff really genuine? That's all I want to know. Is it genuine? I don't know if you're familiar with this guy. I'm going to let you comment on it. His name is Chip Smith. He's got a video on YouTube called "The Cost of White Supremacy and Racism." Now, I just want to find out if that stuff is genuine. Your take on it.
I really don't care if it's genuine or not. On no level am I interested in listening to white people tell me what's best for me. Period. I used to listen to Minister Farrakhan's DVDs, and then one day I'll put a DVD in, and he has some white preacher from Chicago that a lot of black people think are cool open up for him. That's the last Farrakhan DVD that I bought. I'm not interested in hearing white people help me understand what I need to do, because I have a long history that tells me that is not in my best interest. So I don't really care what he's saying. What's important is that I determine and we determine the direction we need to go.
That's deep. That's deep. Hey, Alfonso, man, nice to see you again, brother. It's always good to talk to you. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. One.
Thanks for the call. Peace. We need to determine what's best for us and how we need to move. I'm open, I don't, and I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression about me as it relates to our relationship with white people. I don't think we need to be angry or upset with white people or any of that kind of stuff. But I believe that there's a long history that demonstrates it's just not in our best interest to allow white people to direct us. When we left here and went to, Phil, what's the name of that country over there in Africa we went to over there? We left here and went to try to start anew. What's the name of that country over in Africa? I can't. Not Sierra Leone. I can't think of the dude, but the president of the country got prosecuted and everything. But anyway, we brought some white people with us over there. And the country never ended up working in our own best interest. We have to do it ourselves. We can't allow white people to direct us. That this hasn't worked out. And white people have not taken it upon themselves to demonstrate that they're capable of behaving differently than their long history has shown us. So we'll be back next week. I'm out. Peace.